and thank you for joining the next lesson in our series from the Nutrition Education Program. We have Mrs. Martin back with us today, and this lesson is all about snacks.
All right, so my first question, welcome back to Catch Kids Club. My first question is, how many of us like to snack in between meals, right? Sometimes it's afternoon snack, sometimes it's the bedtime snack. And I want you to start thinking about the things you're snacking on a little bit more. And we talked before about using our catch brain versus what our stomach sometimes tells us that we want to have for a snack. So, before we've referenced our my plate or what our plate should look like before we eat. And a lot of times we're missing some of the, especially fruit and vegetables from our breakfast, from our lunch, and maybe we just have a sandwich for lunch and we're not getting those. So that would be a great opportunity to choose some different snacks throughout our day. So the first thing I want to talk about is, we talked about in our first lesson, about how the ingredients that make our go foods turn into woe foods. And we talked a lot about our potato chips in that first lesson. And what was the last ingredient they added on top of the potato chips?
The fat. On top of it is the salt.
You were right, though, because they cook them in fat. That extra fat is what we don't need. But at the very end, they sprinkle salt on top. And we talked about how sodium makes go foods turn into woe foods. So today I want to talk a little bit more about that. And just like in the beverage lesson, they have a recommendation of how much sodium that you should eat throughout the day. And they give you a level. I'm not so worried that you memorize the number because there's lots of numbers to remember. But I want you to know it's 1,500 milligrams. It's a really big number. But the milligrams is just a little bit a smaller measurement. And I always reference it to, if I ask you to run a mile, that's a really long distance. But if I ask you to run an inch, that's kind of like just not even a step. So a milligram is a very small measurement. I like to show you so you have a visual. This is what 1,500 milligrams looks like. And to a lot of us, that doesn't seem like very much.
It's not much at all.
And especially compared to our sugar when we were talking about that. But like I said, I don't worry as much that you memorize the numbers as much as I want you to start using your catch brains and think, my snacks I'm eating, are they salty? Do they have a lot of sodium in it? And a good way to decide that, or the answer to that would be yes, is if it makes you thirsty. A lot of times you see the salt on a lot of things, or you can taste, the salt is left on your hands. So can you think of any foods that you eat? And I'm specifically looking at snacks. There's lots of foods with extra sodium in them, but I'm mainly looking at snacks that have extra salt or sodium on top. Can you think of something?
I like pretzels.
Pretzels. And so pretzels are actually, I have a bag of pretzels here. You can see the salt on the outside of the pretzel, all right? Sometimes at ball games, you get the big pretzels, and they'll ask you, would you like salt or no salt? And, one of your healthy choices may be to say, today I'm not going to have salt on it, or have a little bit less. But sodium, you can see the sodium on pretzels. Can you think of anything else?
I like potato chips, too.
Potato chips. A lot of times potato chips. And if you're ever curious, you can look at the nutrition facts label on the back. But potato chips, absolutely, in the factory, the last thing they do is put on a flavoring or a salt that's on top. Another one are Cheez-Its and different kinds of crackers. If you have ever looked at them, you can see the salt, even in the picture, but you can see the salt that's on top of them. So I'm not saying never ever have crackers again, or never eat potato chips or pretzels again, but think about it. I'm hoping that you start thinking about when you see that salt that's sprinkled on top, that might not be the best choice or snack choice for me. Another big one is popcorn. Popcorn is an awesome snack, but we tend to start putting butter and we put salt on top. So we make a really good snack turn into more of a woe snack by adding that extra sodium and that butter on top. Another one are different kinds of nuts. A lot of times have extra sodium in them. So just be mindful when you see that sodium or that extra salt that's sprinkled on top of them. I want you to start thinking, maybe I'll make a different selection for my snack. Really quickly, I want to tell you, we talked about how too much sugar could make us gain weight over time, and that's not great for our hearts and to exercise. Sodium does something different, and a lot of us have heard the term high blood pressure, and some of us just think, what is that? I'm not even sure what that is, and I always like to say, high blood pressure is when your heart works hard all the time. So when our first lesson we talked about heart health, our heart beats, okay? Your heart is about the size of your fist, and it beats every second. So when we talked about our heart's pumping blood, we could say it's pump, pump, pump. It's not working really hard. When you have high blood pressure, it makes your hearts work hard all the time, not just when you're exercising, all the time. So if we want to live to be 100 years old, and we make our hearts work hard every single day, is it going to last us 100 years?
I don't think so.
It's not. So sodium causes us to have high blood pressure. Now sometimes we wonder, if I dumped a bunch of salt in my hand and I licked it, am I going to have high blood pressure? No. What high blood pressure comes when we start making choices that have snacks and foods that have a lot of sodium over a long period of time. So with that, just like when we talked about beverages, there's natural sodium and there's added sodium. So a lot of our fruits had natural sugar in it, like the oranges and the watermelon that makes our hands sticky. Well, just like that, vegetables also have some natural sodium in it. So I have the choice right now between maybe I come home from school and I have a cucumber for a snack, or slices of a cucumber, or I choose a pickle. And they're kind of made out of the same vegetable, all right? The cucumber, I could eat this whole cucumber and cut it up in slices, and it only has 6 milligrams of sodium in it. Is that very many?
No,
No,
not much.
especially when we get that big number, 1,500. So 6, this would be a great go snack. Now, how did the 6 milligrams of sodium, trick question, how did that get into the cucumber?
Is it naturally there?
It's natural. Yep, the plant put it in there as a cucumber was growing. So this would be a great go snack. Not only is it a good snack, but it also, maybe we missed one of those fruits or vegetables on our plate in our meal earlier. However, the pickle, do you know how pickles are made?
With lots of added salt.
Lots of added salt. They take a cucumber, which is a go food, they put it in a brine is what they call it, but it's a salt solution, and all the salt is absorbed in. So the cucumber had 6 milligrams of sodium, and this one pickle, 1,600. That's over how much we should have in one day. I'm not saying never ever eat pickles again, because I like a pickle on my hamburger or a slice of pickle here or there. But do you think I should go home after school every day and snack on a pickle?
Probably a bad idea.
Probably a bad idea, because it puts you way over the daily limit, and you're at risk for that. Making your heart work too hard. So maybe your selection of your snack may be to choose a different fruit or a different vegetable instead of the pretzels or the peanuts or the popcorn. And if you really like those things, maybe you have a few pretzels and an apple, or a banana and a few crackers with it instead of just all the crackers. So think about your snacks the next time you go to the refrigerator or you go to the pantry to get a snack. Hopefully with your catch brains, you'll see, is there sodium? Do I see it on there? And if you're not sure, you can always check the back of the nutrition facts label, and it'll tell you how much sodium is in there. So, great.
Thanks so much for the lesson, Mrs. Martin. And for more information, you can check out our website at eatgathergo.org.
Hey, it's Tammy with Catch Kids Club. We just got finished talking about choosing some healthy snacks, maybe snacks with a little less salt or sodium in it. We're going to play a quick game. So the game today is I'm going to show you 2 snacks that for you to choose, maybe after school snacks, things that you would pick. And I want you to try to decide which one you think has the least amount of sodium. Not the one you want. Use your catch brain and start thinking about that amount of salt or sodium in each one. And I'll hold them up, and I'm going to have you choose in your mind which one you think. And if you are right, you will owe me 5 jumping jacks. If you are wrong, you will owe me 10 jumping jacks. You'll have to burn off that extra sodium that you chose. So our first 2 selections are a small bag of pretzels or a small package of mini carrots. Now this one would be a little bit easier, all right? So think in your mind, are you choosing the pretzels or are you choosing the carrots? All right, the pretzels, you can see the sodium on the pretzels. There are 500 milligrams. And if you weren't sure where you would look for that, does anybody remember where we'd look? The nutrition facts label would tell us. You're right. So we have 500 milligrams in the small bag of pretzels, and the carrots, 66 milligrams, all right? And looking at the carrots, did somebody add the sodium in, or do you think it's natural? It's natural, you're right. So if you chose the carrots, you owe me 5 jumping jacks. If you chose the pretzels, you owe me 10. So I'll just stick with the 10. So we'll keep going. So ready? Set, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. If you chose the wrong one last time, you got another chance. So our next choice is between popcorn, one of my very favorite snacks. So the first snack is 2 cups of air popped popcorn, no extra salt. That's a hint. No one's added the extra salt on top. The other selection is 2 cups of cheese popcorn. So think in your mind which one you choose. All right, if you chose a cheese popcorn, 252 milligrams, all right? If you chose the air popped popcorn with no salt added, only 2. Okay, so you're making a really healthy choice by having a great snack of popcorn but not having that flavoring or extra salt on it. So if you pick the air popped popcorn, you owe me 5, and if you pick the cheese popcorn, you owe me 10. We're going to speed it up a little bit. Let's see if we can go a little bit faster and get our heart rates going. Ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. Last one. We have 2 flour tortillas. And some people would be like, I wouldn't really eat that for a snack. Sometimes you can cook these and get them nice and toasty so they almost taste like chips. So 2 flour tortillas, or the other option is a small bag of barbecued potato chips. Think about which one you choose. If you chose the potato chips, yep, we know there's lots of sodium, 639. So that's the most we've seen yet today. The 2 flour tortillas would be your go snack with only 20 milligrams of sodium. So if you chose the barbecued chips, you owe me 10. A lot of extra sodium that we wouldn't have needed. If you chose the 2 flour tortillas, only 5. Ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. Maybe you go to your cabinet now and you find 2 snacks in your cabinet and play this game with somebody at home where you ask them which one you think has least sodium. Check out that nutrition facts and maybe choose the healthier of the 2 for a snack. Talking about snacks now, I want to talk about some healthy snacks that you could have in between meals versus some of those higher sodium snacks. Before I start though, what do we always have to do? Wash our hands. So very quickly, I'm going to go over, even turn on my warm water, get my soap, remember wrists, in between fingers, fingernails, 20 seconds. Rinse our hands top to bottom. Okay. Maybe shut the water off with our elbow, not our hands. Get our towels. Okay. If you don't have, if you're ever traveling or if you don't have access to water, hand sanitizer is a great option. But you need to make sure you do the same thing with the hand sanitizer. Get it between your fingers, around your fingernails, and make sure it's dry before you touch your food. So our 3 snacks that we're going to have today, one is a kebab, and it's cheese and veggie kebab. We do have pretzels, and some of you might say, Mrs. Martin, you just talked about the extra sodium that's on top of pretzels. I can see it, but I'm not eating a whole bag of them. I maybe have 8 here. So I will take a pretzel for a kebab, and a kebab is anything that you put on a stick. So sometimes it's kind of fun to put different fruits and vegetables. So today I have 2 different kinds of cheeses. One of them is a string cheese. It's a long piece of string cheese. I just cut it in circles. And the other one is a cheddar cheese. So my first kebab, I'm going to use the cheddar cheese. And I'm going to add it on to make the kebab. And this is really unusual. And I have a lot of kids say, oh, Mrs. Martin, that does not sound good. But grapes go really well with cheese. And they're kind of fun to make. So there's a grape and cheese kebab. And we talked about eating the rainbow, all different colors. Maybe use green grapes, maybe use red grapes. All of them are great choices. So your kebab may just be grapes and cheese. If you haven't tried it, try it. It's delicious. The next one, I'm going to use a piece of the string cheese. I'm gonna put my cheese on my kebab. And instead of fruit, okay, I am going to make like a salad on a stick. And I have in here a slice of cucumber. I could put that on there. And maybe I'm gonna top it off with a little bit of a grape tomato. So you can make it all different shapes and sizes, use any kind of fruits or vegetables. That would be a great snack, and you're eating the rainbow, all those different colors. Another one is just about the fruit or the vegetables, all right? In my container here, you can make a small fruit salad or just choose a piece of fruit. I have watermelon, pineapple, grapes, blackberries, and you can mix them all together. Another great choice. And the last thing is a veggie wrap. A lot of us are like, oh, I like the sweet fruits and the cheese, but try this. It's a really good snack to make. I start with a whole wheat tortilla. The whole wheat tortilla is always a little darker because it uses the whole piece of the wheat. And it's kind of, I always say it's like an apple. The outside is full of nutrients. And so if by taking the whole piece of wheat, you're getting those extra nutrients that are packed in that piece of grain. So in our whole wheat veggie wrap, it's like a salad in a tortilla, just like we had a kebab with maybe the different veggies on it. So my first ingredient is a little bit of lettuce. I just shredded up some lettuce. The second ingredient is this leaf. Does anybody know what this might be? It's actually spinach. And a lot of people, kids say, ooh, I don't like spinach. I challenge you, if you want to, try spinach. Tear it up and mix it in with your lettuce. Okay, some people put spinach in their smoothies because they say the greener the vegetable, the more nutrients that are in it. So if you compare lettuce and spinach, there's a big difference in color. So spinach is full of vitamins and nutrients that are really good for our body. And instead of putting shredded cheese on, I took a carrot and I shredded it up, and I have shredded carrots. So if you don't like carrots, you don't have to put them on there. The final two items in my veggie wrap is a small slice of cucumber. Maybe I used part of it the day before in my kebabs. I'm going to use the other half today. And a small slice of tomato. Now, if you don't like those vegetables by themselves, sometimes when you mix them together, we talked about that with different fruits mixed together. Maybe you don't like the vegetables, try it all mixed together. For the wrap, you simply put your veggies in. You roll it up and enjoy. So these are great alternatives to your chips, your pretzels, and some of your snacks that have a lot of sodium in them. Have a great day.